What's the best Christmas gift you've ever received? For me, that question leads me back to a pivotal moment in my childhood, one that I hold close to my heart. Growing up, my parents didn't believe in celebrating holidays, especially Christmas. My little brother and I never experienced the excitement of waking up to find presents under a beautifully decorated tree. We missed out on festive dinners filled with laughter and love, and instead, we were left with a profound sense of emptiness during the holiday season. Our parents were consumed with their business, which left little room for family traditions. They often worked long hours, and when they were home, their minds were still preoccupied. While other kids shared stories of their Christmas morning experiences, we simply went through the motions of daily life, feeling like spectators to a celebration that everyone else enjoyed. However, when our parents were busy, we found solace in our neighbor Melissa's home. She was a kind woman with a warm heart, and she welcomed us like we were her own. Her children became our playmates, and we cherished those moments spent in their lively household. We would gather around the dinner table, sharing meals and stories, laughing together as if we were one big family. Those afternoons were a reprieve from our own home, filled with the kind of joy that we yearned for. But everything changed one fateful day. I still remember the happiness in the air when police officers and Child Protective Services, CPS, arrived at our house. My heart raced as I realized what was happening. I could feel panic rising within me, and in that moment, I cried harder than I ever had before. I screamed, desperately clinging to the hope that I wouldn't be taken away from the only home I had ever known, even if it wasn't the best environment. In the midst of the chaos, Melissa appeared out of nowhere. There she was, running into the street in her pajamas and barefoot, her face a mix of concern and determination. She rushed to the officers, pleading with them to consider taking us to her home instead. "They'll be safer with us," she insisted, her voice steady despite the turmoil surrounding us. The CPS agents explained the situation, emphasizing that they had to follow specific procedures. Time felt like it stood still as we waited for the outcome. It felt like days passed, but in reality, it was only a matter of weeks before we learned that Melissa had become our guardian. On Christmas Day, the atmosphere was different, filled with anticipation and love. Melissa had gone above and beyond to make the day special for us. I remember walking into her living room, which was adorned with twinkling lights and a beautifully decorated tree. The aroma of freshly baked cookies wafted through the air, mixing with the laughter of her children, who were just as excited as I was. When it came time to open presents, my heart raced. As I unwrapped my gift, I could hardly believe my eyes. There, nestled within the colorful paper, was a soft teddy bear, a symbol of comfort and love. But that wasn't all. Alongside it lay a certificate stating that they had officially adopted my brother and me. In that moment, a wave of emotions hit me like a tidal wave. I burst into tears, overwhelmed by the magnitude of what this meant. I threw my arms around Melissa, who was also crying, and we held each other tightly. The room erupted in cheers as her family celebrated with us, their joy infectious. I had never felt so surrounded by love, acceptance, and belonging. That moment was more than just a gift. It was a promise of a new beginning, a family that truly cared for us. It transformed that day into the best Christmas I had ever experienced, a day that changed my life forever. I had not only received a teddy bear, but also a sense of security and love that I had longed for. That Christmas taught me the true meaning of family, kindness, and the power of love. It was a gift I would carry with me for the rest of my life. Story 2. What's something you've dodged that's not just a bullet, but more like a massive tactical nuke? Let me share a significant experience my wife and I had while planning our relocation to Miami. My wife is originally from Florida, and ever since we made the move to Washington, she had been yearning to reconnect with her family. The pull to be closer to them was strong, and she expressed that the only acceptable condition for our new home was that it had to be right by the beach. For her, living near the ocean was a lifelong dream, one that she had missed dearly. After a year filled with planning, discussions, and dreaming about our future, we finally made the decision to move. We packed our belongings and temporarily settled into her family's home, which provided a comforting base as we began our search for a new place. It was nice to be surrounded by family again, and it allowed us to feel more connected as we navigated this big change in our lives. Once we were settled, we dove headfirst into the house hunting process. We contacted a realtor and lined up a series of house and apartment tours, excited to find our perfect spot. However, after 2 weeks of searching, we found ourselves facing a frustrating reality. Despite our efforts, none of the places felt quite right. Each option had its drawbacks, whether it was the layout, the distance from the beach, or the price. As the days passed, we began to feel disheartened, wondering if we would ever find a home that met our expectations. Just when we were starting to lose hope, we met a friend of my wife's mom who was looking to sell her condo. It was quite serendipitous that we crossed paths with her as she lived in the very area we were targeting. We scheduled a tour, and as soon as we walked through the door, we both felt an instant connection to the space. The condo was bright and airy, with large windows that offered a stunning view of the ocean. It had everything we were looking for: spacious rooms, a cozy layout, and, of course, proximity to the beach. The owner was eager to sell, and she offered us a generous deal because she was in a hurry to relocate. We quickly gathered our down payment and began to envision our new life in that beautiful condo. However, just as we were moving forward with the purchase, we hit an unexpected snag: a 2-month delay in getting our mortgage approved. It turned out there were some issues with the building that needed to be addressed before we could secure financing. This news was frustrating and nerve-wracking. We were anxious to finalize everything and start this new chapter, yet we had to sit back and wait while the necessary fixes were made. Each day felt like an eternity as we anxiously monitored the situation, hoping for updates that would allow us to move forward. Finally, after weeks of uncertainty, we received the long-awaited news. Our mortgage was approved, relief washed over us, and we began to plan the next steps toward making our dream a reality. We could finally see the light at the end of the tunnel, and the excitement of living in our new home filled us with joy. But then, just when everything seemed to be falling into place, we received shocking news. One morning, the building we were set to buy had collapsed. The gravity of the situation hit us like a ton of bricks. We could hardly process what we were hearing. How could this happen? We felt a mix of disbelief and fear as we learned more about the incident. To this day, my wife and I can't wrap our heads around it. If we had been able to move in on time, we could have easily been among the casualties. The thought of what might have happened sent chills down our spines. That experience profoundly impacted us, making us realize just how close we came to a potentially tragic outcome. In hindsight, we felt immense gratitude for that delay with the bank, which at the time seemed like an obstacle. It turned out to be a crucial blessing in disguise that saved our lives. This experience taught us a valuable lesson about resilience, patience, and the unpredictable nature of life. Sometimes, what feels like a setback can lead to unforeseen opportunities and, in our case, even save us from disaster. Our journey to find a home became a story of survival, reminding us to appreciate the twists and turns along the way. We're now looking forward to new adventures and the chance to build a life in a safe and happy place, always aware of how fortunate we truly are.